Hello, Lisa here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video as part of my current 2020 deck collection video series. I am going to be taking you guys through my deck collection in a series of categories. So I totally give full credit to Dawn Michelle of Boho Tarot for inspiring this idea, because I didn't know how I was going to approach my collection this year, and this is, I believe, how she did her collection series last year. So she has that in a playlist. I will link that playlist either in the cards or in the description box down below so that you can check it out. But I'm going to be starting with my, as you can see in the title, Affirmation and what did I call it? Affirmation and Prompts. Affirmation and Prompts deck. So these are decks that sort of give you a message. They're not decks that I read intuitively. These are decks that I pull either for myself or for clients for a little boost, something to take away. And so I'm going to take you through my collection of these sorts of decks. And if during the course of making this video I spot any decks that I think I can move along from my collection, I'm going to be doing that as well. So I guess you could say this is sort of like a deck collection update and a declutter series all in one. So my goal is to try to move along decks that no longer are ones that I reach for as much, as well as share with you what's in my collection. So with that said, let's dive in. So I think this is technically the second affirmation deck that I ever brought into my collection, and this one just took the tarot and oracle world by storm, in my opinion. These are the Universe Has Your Back cards by Gabrielle Bernstein. It's worth mentioning, however, that I don't typically keep my decks like this in bags, because I have them on a little shelf. And again, they're ones that I just want to reach for when I want to share affirmations with my clients or for myself. These are typically, the reason I call them affirmation decks is because the messages are pretty much exclusively positive. There's usually no shadow work here. There's no being called out here. Typically with affirmation decks, as I like to see them, or as I guess see them, they're almost always loving, supportive, encouraging kind of messages. What I love about the Universe Has Your Back is the art style is so beautiful and pairs so well with just about any deck, and they photograph beautifully. I think they just sort of have that universal energy, and they do make you feel like you're connected to universe the way that they're written. And I think one of the reasons this one was so special when it came out is because prior to that, I think a lot of the affirmation style decks that we could get were very sort of angel-y, which is not a bad thing, but this was one of the first ones I ever encountered that took this idea of affirmation and made it more about the universe, less about God and angels, which was something I really, really genuinely appreciated. And I love this deck. This one is really, really beautiful. I think I might be hard-pressed to let this one go simply because it's just one of my favorites. But we'll see where I land as I go through the rest of these. So the Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. The artwork is by Michaela Ezra. So the very first affirmation deck that I ever brought into my collection is this one. Now, I don't necessarily think that you can get these anymore. This is a deck that's produced by Molly Kules. I believe her name is Molly, I forget her last name, but she goes by Molly Kules online, and I discovered her through Facebook years ago. She had a series of videos that she liked, or cartoon images, rather, I guess you could say, that she would put on Facebook, and I subscribed to her page, and I always made it show up at the very, very top. But they're very, very cool. So the series was called Buddha Doodles, and she would put these Buddha Doodles out like every day or every other day, and they've got this really beautiful sort of Buddhist vibe. Obviously they're called Buddha Doodles, but I just find the artwork really playful and really peaceful. I actually ordered several prints from her and had them hanging in my yoga studio when I had a yoga studio. I really, really enjoy her artwork, and I find that these make really wonderful cards for just setting out and leaving out and just contemplating as you walk past that space. They're just really, really lovely and calming to look at. I love this deck, and I don't think I would ever part with it. I mean, and I love how giant these cards are. I mean, like, as an example, here's the Universe Has Your Back. Like, they're super big. They're like, these are probably, I would say, 6" by 6". Yeah, I'd say they're about 6" by 6". They're pretty big, or 5.5" by 5.5", something like that. But they're really beautiful. The cardstock is super flimsy. Like these are really, really, really thin, but they weren't sold to a cartomancy community, right? They were definitely sold as almost like a collection of her art prints. And frankly, as like a collection of her artwork, this was a steal because I think I paid $15 to $20 or so per print for the prints that I purchased from her. And this whole deck I think was like $30 or $35 if I remember right. And yeah, how are things as they really are? There's really a lot of wisdom in this deck. I will have a link to as anything that I can because I am going to be showing decks that aren't currently available. So for this one, I may just have a link to Molly Kuhl's website so you can check out her artwork. Again, I don't think she's produced these since then, and I think this deck is dated, oh, I don't have the box anywhere near me, but I think it was like a 2014 or so. But I keep these by my bedside, and every once in a while I'll pull one of these or one of my other affirmation style decks to just leave out and think about. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to part with that one. Let's take a look at Postcards from Spirit. This is a Colette Baron Reid deck. This is a deck that I blame fully on Dustin of Modern Metaphysique. It's really cool, actually. So it's basically a deck full of postcard-looking images. They literally look like postcards with little stamps and things. They're really, really sweet. Each one is unique and literally looks like it's been sent through the mail. And on the back, you have a very word-heavy message as if Spirit has literally written you a letter. This is really, really wonderful, and every once in a while I'll just walk by the box and I'll randomly select one, particularly if I'm having just like a rough day. Oh, there's the title card hiding in there. Oh, that's like a little booklet thing. I've never looked at this. I don't even know what that has in it. But I really, really loved the messages here. And the first time I encountered this, as I said, I think it was during a 3 Fat Readers, and Dustin read one of these messages and it like almost made me cry. It was really good. So this is also super unique and I really, really enjoy it. So I don't think that one would go anywhere either. I don't know how much decluttering we're gonna see here, guys. We'll just have to see. Okay, next up, this was a bit of an impulse buy. Now, this is another one that sort of brings me back in time, way before like I was ever on TarotTube or anything like that. Mike Dooley is the creator of an email series, or it was an email thing that you could sign up for called Notes from the Universe. And it was the coolest thing. I can't remember when I first found it, but I think it was like 2002 or 2003, maybe a little bit later. It comes in this nice 2-piece box. But every day you could sign up and you would get an email, and it would be as if the universe sent you an email. And the tone and the language and the voice of these cards is exactly like that, which makes sense because the author is the same, Mike Dooley. Now this deck, Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection, is a Notes from the Universe deck that does focus on like love and romance. And I have occasionally pulled this in combination with romance and love readings that I do for clients, but I don't tend to use it myself very often. So as an example, no two flowers are the same, yet all are beautiful in their own way. And when you flip it, it says, comparisons are odious because they presume all other things are equal, which is never the case. Between me and you, the universe. So there's really great messages here. Yeah, this is exactly what the emails would be like. So dwell on what you love. Asking someone to change is like pruning a tree. Neither will ever be the same again. Scarier still is that you can't quite know in what new direction they'll grow. I wouldn't change a leaf on you, the universe. And it just goes like this, right? But this one speaks specifically, I think, to issues that come up in love and relationships. But I do find that this one is a little bit limited in its use. At the same time, I really love having a Notes from the Universe deck. I think that if there was a generic, and there may be, if there was a more general topic Notes from the Universe deck, so one that wasn't specific to love and connection, I could see myself passing this one on and keeping the more general one, mostly because I find that some of these messages are more for people who are looking for love or who are experiencing trouble in their relationships. Not all of them. I don't know, I find it a little less, I'm not always sure when I can use it, right? It feels almost just a little too narrow in its focus, and that sometimes keeps me from reaching for it when I might otherwise. I actually think in a lot of ways these two decks are very, very similar, only this one has the messages on the back and this one doesn't. I think I might consider passing this one on, actually. So I'm gonna set it aside to consider possibly decluttering this one, just because I have found so little opportunity to use it. Okay. Next up is the Cup of Contemplation cards by Julie, our very own Peekaboo Rose. And I love this deck. I enjoy the graphics quite a bit. I love the questions. It's all questions. So the Cup of Contemplation, the idea is basically a question to contemplate. I use these exactly the way I use my Buddha doodles. In fact, I have a little drawer unit right next to my bedside, and in one drawer I have these, and in another drawer I have these, and every couple of days I will pull one or the other out, shuffle, and draw a single card to just put out where I can see it, and I'll contemplate that thought or that question for a couple of days until I feel like it's time to change it out. This is a really great, unique deck, and I couldn't see myself passing this one on. I think it's really great. You could also use it as a prompt for tarot readings, right? If you didn't know what you wanted to ask, you could draw a card, and then you could pull a reading for that card, or you can even use a few cards, right? Here's a good example. How can I prevent burnout? Who can I rely on? And how can I have some fun? That'd be a great 3-card tarot reading, right? So you could definitely use it mindfully in that way. The only thing is I almost wish there were more cards. I don't know how many there are. I feel like there's 30 something. Just pulling that number out of my butt because I don't actually remember. But I really love this deck and I couldn't see parting with it. The next 3 decks are my Affirmators collection, I guess you could say. The original Affirmators is much loved in my collection. The only thing I can't stand is these boxes because I keep these on a shelf, and as soon as I pull it out, this falls out every time. It's really annoying. Except for the box though. These are super great. The backs are kind of blah, and in fact my backs are like showing white through because they've kind of worn. And the cardstock isn't the best ever. It shuffles good though. But these have great messages, and they're really sassy and fun and playful and kind of comedic. They always make you smile, even when they're delivering a little bit of tough love about what you need to be working on. I find them balanced, I find them thoughtful, and these are great. These are wonderful cards to use for journal prompts, and the original Affirmators is sort of their general deck like this, and I think it's really well done. The author of these is... Where's my box lid? There we go. Does it even say on the box? I know it says on my Affirmators Tarot. Anyway, these are produced by Knock Knock, and Knock Knock actually reached out to me earlier this year, I think it was, and asked if I would review a couple of their other products, and I was sent the Affirmators Love and Relationships. This one I think I asked them if they would include. I was like, hey, since we're looking at this other one, because I really thought this one was special. This was their newest one at the time, so they sent me this one, and then they also sent me one of their books, and I love their products. I love the way they're written. So let's take a look at Affirmators Love and Relationships. In fact, I think between these two, I do prefer the Affirmators one. This is a similar style. I love these narwhal rainbow backs. But these feel a lot more balanced. They speak to different aspects of love and relating that don't necessarily always, they don't seem to always be about romance. They're definitely applicable to different kinds of relationships, friendships, familial relationships, relationships that are romantic, relationships that aren't romantic, but all of these concepts, ownership, loyalty, receiving, I'm a catch, acceptance, like for the most part, I would say these messages you could totally apply to any type of relationship, which is something I really, really like about it. It feels a lot more versatile. Yeah, I really enjoy this one. So this is another one that's really great to work with client readings on love and relationships as well. So I really like that one. The Affirmators Creativity. This one, I feel like, because I don't consider myself somebody that engages a lot with creative projects, I am creative. I don't think I think of myself in a creative way, and my creativity shows up differently. This seems to focus on people who really enjoy creative projects, so painting, writing, drawing, and while it doesn't talk about that, the concepts here are definitely about, helping you to break past, say, creative blocks, helping you to move forward on projects, thinking about your projects differently, giving yourself permission to play, that kind of thing. And while I think that's really useful and supportive, I don't find myself really ever reaching for this one because I just like rough drafts. My book is written and I don't see myself doing another one for a while. But I just don't feel myself really drawn to working with this. It's just as well done as the other Affirmators decks, but it's, again, specific to sort of that realm of creativity. And because that's not something I find myself needing to reach for, I just don't reach for it. So I think out of this category of decks, I think I'm gonna think about it a little bit, but I'm gonna put these into the probably to be rehomed pile, and maybe revisit and see if I miss them after a little bit, and if I don't, then pass them along. So I think these two I'm gonna keep, I'm gonna rehome probably, and then I'm gonna keep my love and relationships and my regular affirmators, my postcards from Spirit, my Buddha doodles, that's hard to say, and my cup of contemplation cards, and the universe has your back. I don't know. Am I really gonna reach for this? Yeah, I think I will still reach for this. It is a really wonderful sort of tying a bow on a reading kind of deck. So yeah, I think I will keep that one as well. This is the one that I think if I was going to get rid of one more, this would be the one that I would consider, but I am going to stop here and just stick with passing these along. I'm going to keep all of these. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for this part of my current 2020 deck collection and declutter series. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm sure it's coming really, really soon. I don't know what order I'm going to put these up in. Probably alphabetical, in which case this will be the first. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. But the next category coming up, tune in for that one. I'm going to do something similar, go through that category of decks, share what I like about them, consider any I may want to pass along. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Make sure to like this video, share, and subscribe if you're not already so that you can see my videos in your subscription feed. It just makes it easier to find my stuff. And please remember that if you would like to book a reading with me, you can do that over at supportivetarot.com. Thanks, guys. Bye.